Alright, so just arrived here at Port Messe in Nagoya. We are at the brand new venue here that was used for the first time last year. And as you can see, the cars are already lining up. They have a staggered kind of system to have the cars roll in today. And some cars are already going inside now. I think it starts around 3 p.m. today on the Thursday before the show. And we're basically going to kind of check the cars rolling in now, have a look what's going to be on display at the show this year, and just enjoy the chilled atmosphere of, you know, a roll-in like this, because it's literally some of the best cars, best stance cars in Japan. Oh, I think that's the Madeleine 964 new build from Kazuki coming around now. Let's go and take a look. Look at this thing. How good does that look? Oh. Alright, so it's definitely picking up now. The line is going all the way around, and some really interesting things arriving at this year's show. And as always, an amazing mix of cars. A bit of everything, air-cooled vans, old school Beamers, convertibles, Audi R8s, the Trust R34 GTR, which is actually running a new coloring for these Rays 21As. Looks really cool with that bronze center. Massive 11Js on this car, 295s. Massive thing. The Madeleine 964 build. We'll really do a deep dive on that. That looks clean as already. Sick 512 TR here. Beautiful 6 Series on BBS RSs. And we've gone all the way around. Let's see what's lining up on the other side now. A little Toyota Starlet there. I love this kind of rebirth we've been having with all these cars running Watanabes. Watanabe has been on fire lately. They're really being represented so well in Japan and abroad too. So, you know, they have a lot of sizes, new sizes coming. And good to see them on every car that we come across. Now, around the back of the venue, we see GTR Pro Shop active here with their truck. And little did we know, there's a bunch of cars waiting back here. Let's see what we have. We've got 2 garage active R32 wide body cars. That sounds insane. Guys, so we'll be happy to see this. So this is the E36 M3 that we saw at Tokyo Auto Salon. There's the Grady boost. And next to it, the GT3 R35 GTR that Muntek built. Crazy. Oh, Muntek-san. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
25台作った車。
Yeah, 25台。
マジで?
Yeah.
So they actually made 25 cars for the show. That must be
今
like
回のショーは10台。
あ、10台。
で
あ、
持ってきたのは22、3台。
わ、すげえ。
トータル。
Almost 30 cars from him.
スーパータイヤの。疲れた。
すごい。So unfortunately it doesn't have a number plate, which means you can't drive it on the road, but look at this thing. It kind of has that GT3 look for the road that the GTR never really had. Of course, they just made the race car without doing a street version, homologation version like a lot of manufacturers do. I think Nissan was very stupid not to do that, honestly, because they would have sold every single one and then more. But there you go, look at this thing. It's getting unloaded, and I I think I'm gonna go around the front again and see if a new lineup has generated. We do like a bit of old vintage crown action. Really nice station wagon, and right behind it a couple of DC2s. You know, the caliber of cars that come to Wekfest really is impressive. Every year they manage to kind of up it. You see, you know, some of the best cars from previous years, but there's so much additions of new stuff that we never come across, and it just keeps the whole event so fresh. It's probably the best event in Japan. The 6 E36 convertible on AC Schnitzer wheels. Lovely car. God, there's so many DC2s at this event. I think I must have counted like 8 already. They just keep getting better and better. Even a little mini moke. Sweet R33 GTR rolling in. This is also the place to see a lot of USDM stuff that you really don't see in Japan. And yes, it's still a very big thing with guys importing all sorts of American market cars and running them in Japan just to be different. More HRE wheels. A few more cool cars around the rotary here in front of the station. So I actually ended up parking here at this furniture shop, and there's a bunch of cool cars waiting here for their turn to roll in. Check out this Supra, white on white, little Mitsubishi Colt. And the cool thing is that we're basically gonna go right in front of the venue, so we can actually see some cars roll in from either side of the roads here, and hopefully catch some more cars before they go in. I'm really gonna try to kind of make this year's content from Wekfest Japan a little bit more, you know, from the outside here, kind of like the live version of it. I think it makes more sense to see these cars, you know, driving, moving, and out in the sunshine than in artificial light. So I'm gonna be doing as much as I can of that today during the setup, and then we'll finish up tomorrow inside the show, kind of concentrate on the cars that really stood out, do some walk-arounds, and get to see some of the rest that we didn't see today rolling in. More cool cars rolling in. 993, the massive wing, Golf, and a cool teal Celica. Cool. All right, so more cars out here. We got the JB Customs Sunny truck here on the bed. More cars rolling in. On this side, we got the hardcore with donut pickup truck that was at Tokyo Auto Salon. Skyline in the back, CRX. Man, there's so much stuff rolling in now. So as you can see, this massive new venue is still very much empty. They have a lot of work to get this filled up today. I think this is one of the few Moontech cars that have actually made it in so far. This crazy GR86. Complete custom exterior and interior. Just look at the extensive work that has gone into crafting that custom tan interior. So here we have another garage active build, sick wide body R33. I noticed they even started making their own wheels. Very cool, two-piece. Tons of dish, obviously, to fill up those guards. God, I can't get over the fact that this is a race car. So cool, so sick. This is literally the dream to have one of these registered for street use. Space Factory CRX getting unloaded. How about this for a lineup? 993 with GT fenders. Wingless R32 GTR on T37s. Sick R31 Skyline 4-door on tiny steel wheels. And that 964 we saw earlier on when we got here on BBS rims. So sick. Another sick CRX. How cool is this? Super sweet. Skyline Japan. Some nice BBS rims. Lancia Delta and T37s. That's what I'm talking about. Speaking of cool stuff, here's a Tommy Kaira M19. This is one of the 12, I believe, that were made. 8 or 12, I forget now. Based on the 190E complete cars. So sick that this is coming in. It's rolling in with a very famous 5 Series wagon. And here's that GT3 GTR from Moontech. And this is crazy. So the owner of HWA Wheels has actually brought the second M19 Tommy Kaira 190 complete car that he owns. He actually has 2 of them, and it's amazing that we get to see both together here at the venue. Amazing. That's a proper drag setup, R34 on Hoosier slicks. All right, nice Moontech selection of BMWs here. OZ Futuras on this one, some BBS LMs on the station wagon, and we move into some M4 Coupe HREs to finish up the lineup. I cannot believe how many cars Moontech is bringing to the show today. 25 in total, counting all the customer cars. All right, so here we are the day after. We're just about to get into the venue here. Wekfest 2024 is ready to go, so I'm gonna head inside and check some stuff out. And my God, did they fill out this venue. I'm not really sure how many cars are here today, but this is absolutely impressive. Okay, since we did a lot of looking at cars that were coming in yesterday, I think the best approach today is to kind of just walk it quickly and kind of see what really stands out. I mean, I'm just gonna flip my camera around just so you see the level of cars this year. I mean, I mentioned this yesterday when we were looking at the roll-in. Somehow these guys that organize Wekfest here in Japan really have basically, you know, their fingers on the pulse. They really know what is happening in Japan across the entire nation. And every year they manage to bring stuff that's fresh. Sure, you do have some cars that are, you know, recognizable cars that we've seen so many times before. But then again, there's so much fresh stuff to kind of indulge in. And of course, like I mentioned yesterday, Moontech from Gunma really killed it this year. Their lineup here is insane. They have a proper booth setup here, an Aventador and a 992 GTS that we actually saw outside. Of course, this is the R35 GT3, their GR86 build, the Live to Offend E36, and it is absolutely wild. We were actually shooting this car for a race yesterday outside the show, and that's because this car, along with a Moontech R33, is actually running a new coloring of the Race 21As. The R33 is on the 21Cs. Boy, does this keep improving. I've been following the build of this R34 since the beginning, and they just improve it, you know, year by year, basically kind of crafting new products for the R34 platform and the RB26 engine. And I have to say, with these new wheels, they really get the looks on point. But yeah, let's continue that 25 car lineup that Moontank brought out, starting with this Q60 slammed on Yokohama GTs. A nice Celsior here with a Lexus badging, and some really nice rebarreled BBSs. A Phantom kitted 86, a Mercedes E-Class, that purple BMW M3 wagon we saw outside yesterday. This thing is unbelievable. It's dumped on air, and that purple really stands out. I love the LMs with that kind of brushed kind of effect to the centers. Another M3 sedan on OZ Futuras, stands on point, ending up with this M4 on HREs. And here's the R33 that we shot yesterday for Rays. This is a very famous car from the Kanto region, based out of Tokyo. It's running the new Rays 21Cs with that bronze center. It matches the 21As from the Trust R34. Beautiful thing. R33 LM. Has this really cool contrasting white roll cage inside. Bright buckets. Really cool build. Definitely have to do a feature on this thing. One of the cleanest R33s around. Next to it, R33 400R replica. They really got this car on point. Rebarreled Nismo LMGT1s. Look at the dish on that. Absolutely aggressive as hell. Even though it's a replica, but we'll forgive it because these things are over the $1 million mark now. So as we will see in a bit, this show has a ton of really cool Hondas. But one other platform that I've noticed is really, super popular at Wekfest every year is the Roadster. There are so many extremely well-built Roadsters that we need to kind of take a look at. Starting off with this one here, dumped on some BBS, rebarreled rims. I mean, the level of execution of these cars is just absolutely amazing. I think in the last 20 years since I've been covering the JDM scene, like, the quality of builds have really come a long way. People taking so much attention to detail to every area of the car. It's just a pleasure to cover the scene in general. Oh wow, check this out. Z31Z on Rotiforms, but running an L series on Velocity stacks. Look at this thing. This is absolutely wild. But what an amazing build this is. I love how they've mixed this kind of like modern classic chassis and dumped inside a 70s engine. Super clean. Roll cage fabricated in the back here. Got a radium fuel system. This is going to be one to come back to when it's done, because that engine is not really completed yet. You know, Wekfest and Japan in general is about Mercedes. They always have loved Mercedes-Benz in Japan. It was one of the first brands to be imported and kind of lusted after by people here. It kind of equals like, having success. But having said that, I really do love seeing the older stuff, and these things are just on point. And the funny thing is, if you look at this car, there's not really much done to it except a substantial drop on the stock rims, making this 280S look absolutely amazing. So the concept with this FD build that Car Shop Go in Tokyo put together was basically creating a GT car for the street. And good lord, have they killed that concept. This is absolutely the widest FD I've ever come across. Let's take a look from the back, because this thing is aggressive as hell. I'm not really sure how they managed to get this road legal, but just look how wide it is at the back. That's some serious widening happening there, and you can see the fender is a good foot wider on each side. Now that is absolutely crazy. And here's a perfect example of what I was saying, of people really upping their game when it comes to builds. This S14 is pretty sick. Like, I love the contrast of the pink in the engine bay and like a sparkly purple on the outside. Cycle fenders, so many sick imports. Gotta love the aero discs on the older BBS wheels. Really nice selection of GTRs here. 32 on Eclipse, 33 from Moontech, 34 from Moontech. So we are a bit early, so cars are still getting polished and fixed up before the actual venue opens in an hour or two. Oh, hayozaimasu. N-Style from Gunma, all the way from Gunma. We gotta visit N-Style too. Those guys are awesome. They do the craziest builds. A lot of drift specific stuff. A bit of Itasha here. And then we get to some more old school stuff. Look at this Soarer. And I was just saying how cool aero discs are on older BBS. And here's another car that really smashes that look. One of the coolest scenes that I've always loved covering here in Japan is VIP. I wish I got to cover a few more events. I gotta hit some more up because I just love the builds around kind of old classic cars like this Infiniti, Nissan Sima. I mean, it's all about getting that look just right. So a ton of metal work, custom fenders, all the widening kind of spanning across into the doors. And this one really takes it to the next level as the kind of spoilers integrated into the fender, which is already widened. And the lineup continues. Sorry, this R32 Pandem, simple S15, dark silver, and bronze T37s. This Impreza, however, is the complete opposite of simple. This thing is running 1552 5-spoke wheels and really has gone for that crazy WRC look. Let's have a look at the back here. Amazing build. Like I said, you always end up seeing so much new stuff at this event. And keep walking. There's just so much. There's just too much. Here we start seeing some dope Hondas. We'll go around the back here because there's a lot more over there. Beautiful FD wide body build. Engine on point as well, as is fitment, of course. A couple of cars here from Raw Heart. You Honda boys are gonna love the coverage of Wekfest 2024 because it's just brimmed full of cool Hondas. There's a lot more on the other side. We're just scratching the surface. New gen Corvette. I'm surprised how few of these cars there are in Japan because the Japanese always love American stuff just as much as anything else. Toyota Aristo. One of my favorite sedans. Just timeless design, this car. Absolutely just doesn't age. And sitting on some polished up, chromed up NKs, big stop dick brakes, super clean build. And let's give some love to a Z33 on some T37 Vs. Vs, of course, were made for the vintage cars, but they ended up being very popular for modern cars as they offer a hell of a lot more lip than the regular T37s. Next to the VIP Sima is this stunning Supra Celica. I've probably seen about 15% of the show and I'm pretty much already overwhelmed. There's just too much. I mean, if you do come to Nagoya on the 3rd of May every year, the very first day of Golden Week, you really do get your money's worth because this show offers up some crazy stuff. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a Mitsubishi GTO and one that's being modified? Look at this, what is going on here? Testarossa vibes on this thing. Japan really never fails to impress when it comes to Porsche builds and especially air-cooled stuff. This 964 on really cool center lock look BBS RSs, I believe. I can't fault this car in any way. This is how 964s really need to sit. I mean, I do love the RWB wide body look, but there's nothing that kind of matches a narrow body 964. Just simple, to the point. More air-cooled here with the Beetle. I love this Gen 1 Golf with aero discs. Going for a bit of a time attack look. That is some serious polishing going on in that engine bay. As we kind of try to finish this top corner at Wekfest. Some American stuff too. So the first generation Golf Cabriolet really remains one of my favorite convertible cars of all times, and this one really has taken that whole recipe and kind of pushed it forward. Really did the best possible kind of engine transplant here with the VR6 motor at the front, old school BBS rims, and that kind of tan body contrasting against the darker tan. All right, we're gonna take a look at some of these old school Hachis that are here. This has gone for kind of an old school take, nothing crazy. Nice fuel injection setup on this side. Some Takohashi manifolds on this side. This looks like a car that gets used and abused. And again, you know, that's what we like to see. Nice bright buckets, stripped interior, and Watanabes. Take a look at this Evo build. I love the kind of Tommy Mäkinen inspired front bumper design. It's a Sheepy Race logo on the intercooler. Crazy turbo setup with twin wastegates dumping through the bonnet. It's got funky Recaro buckets, the air suspension setup in the back, controlled by an airlift ECU, and sitting on works. Very, very interesting. And this is something I remember from last year. Good to see that they kept working on this. I do love velocity stacks out of any engine, but especially the E92's 4-liter V8. This thing must sound absolutely incredible. Recaros inside, and just simple outside. Nice exhaust system and Apex wheels. I always do try to give a bit of space to the Z33 and 34. I think they're still good looking cars. So we are pretty much finishing up one side of the show here. Super clean, bronze 86, dumped on some BBS RS's, moving wheels on this EG6. And here's another Pandem R32 GTR. God, these things are wide. And look at the interior on this thing. Completely upholstered in blue Alcantara with matching blue leather bucket seats. Definitely not one for the purists, but you gotta appreciate when people build cars to this kind of level. Now here's something you don't see too often in Japan. First gen Scirocco's 16 valve for this one. And again, sitting on some old BBS wheels. These are definitely the favorite wheels to go on for an older, modern, vintage German car. Up here we got Takashi's ER34 with that Porsche metallic bronze color, sitting on HRE custom wheels. And I always do love his center exit wastegate pipes there. Number 2 964 drool-worthy spec here. Another beautiful build on BBS wheels. Again, going for that clean look. This was built by Mad Lane down in Okayama. Beautiful dark blue. Wiper delete at the back. This is a Mitsuwa car. You have a nice Boxster Cayman. Nice old school Roadster. Really sweet S14. And I apologize for the loud music. I'm gonna try and scream as much as I can to make myself heard. There's always an issue with events inside big halls like this. The PA systems really, really boom. Check this out. The stuff you see at Wekfest is insane. And a Jetta with a completely shaved engine bay. Right, this is all for you Honda guys. I'll start up with this DC2 on moving wheels, moving straight on to another DC2 on T37s. Nice Brembo brakes up front. This is gone for the complete Mugen look, period correct all the way. More Mugen wheels here on this EG6. You always gotta love spoon calipers. It's just so nice to see these older cars looked after so well. And check out the exhaust setup here. A crazy DC2 with a supercharger setup. Acura badging for that USDM look. We continue on to another Acura badge DC2. Alright, so from the Honda corner, or should I say DC2 corner, let's move that way. You have to love these older Corolla wagons. I can't remember ever seeing one quite so clean. Perfect paint. Like even the lights and trim look like they're pretty much just out of factory. And of course these older cars always had the fender mirrors. So from a Corolla wagon we go to a Crown wagon. And just look at the engine bay in this thing. I almost skipped this lineup. S2000 white body, candy red, S15 two-tone Hachiroku. I'm kind of really happy to be seeing this Pandem E30, which of course runs an S2000 motor swap. I've been meaning to feature this car for so long now, but the actual owner had an accident with this car earlier this week, so somehow he actually managed to fix it quickly and bring it here to the show, sitting on T37Vs. I love the little detail with the BMW emblem. Good to see this thing is still around. I haven't seen this since Ars meeting last year. This is basically trying to recreate a GT500 JGTC for the road look and kind of mixing in a lot of like street car culture into it. The Honda awesomeness continues here. Some EGs to lust over here. Look at the coating on the engine. It's been kind of done all the way over into the gearbox, engine block. I've always been a huge fan of Z31Z. This is a 200 ZG, so it runs a VG20, and it sits on some steel wheels. A lot of dish. I love the upholstery inside, but the coolest thing here, apart from that Ferrari steering wheel, is the Pantera inspired hatch conversion, which we see a lot of on Bosuzoku cars. All right, I'm going to continue the Civic lineup here with even more variety, including a shuttle. And just what I was saying before with the whole VIP trend, this is even you know, a better example, because you really get to see the amount of work that people put in to blistering these fenders and getting those arches perfect all the way around. That radius is just on point. And just look at how the widening continues onto the door and the bumper. This is stance on point. It won't be the most comfortable car, but good lord does it look good. Okay, so you guys probably know by now that I do love my S13s, and this is something like I've never seen. Aside from the color, which is unique, it sits on Porsche wheels. That is so interesting. No widening, narrow body all the way, just simple. And the German wheels match the German number plate. If you want to see re-barreled vintage rims, this is the show to come and see them. Check out this FDRX7 on these Mazda Speed 5 spokes. Of course, these wheels, like a lot of manufacturer wheels, were made by Rays. You gotta love the K cars. This Honda Beat is one that I actually shot for Haltech some years back, because it actually does run, if you look here in the interior, a Haltech Elite 550, and that controls the tiny little modified engine that sits back here. So from one Honda Beat over to the next one, this has gone hardcore spoon sport look. Still running T37s like the Golf one here. Tiny little spoon calipers. Stripped out interior, just like Spoon does, with the gray chassis, carbon fiber clad hardtop, center exit exhaust. So cool. And we continue on because there's a bunch of other really cool Honda K cars here. You cannot fault this. Like, this is probably something I would never do to an FD, but you can't fault the way this looks. If you want to go for extreme, the Liberty Walk conversion for the FD is incredible. Here's Yohei's E46 M3 from Low Brain. I love how he's matched some T37 Sagas on this custom painted car. We saw them coming in yesterday, the Garage Active GTRs. Always hit hard. There's always something so special about seeing a well-executed wide body. Even on these GTRs that continue to keep getting more expensive and rarer and rarer. So I saw this kind of running away from me yesterday, but here it is again. Lancia Delta Integrale, Il Deltone as we call it in Italy, sitting on bronze T37s, Advan tires. The lineup continues, more Civics, EG, EK, and something very clean here. If you guys know that signature, let me know in the comments. Spoon wheels, as always, Madeleine never fails to steal the show. This flat nose build is incredibly beautiful. 930 turbo, completely redone inside and out. I do love the center lug, BBS race wheels. And this flat noise joins another couple of cars that we actually saw yesterday coming in, the 512 TR. There's always something so special about a narrow body 964, and this is a great example. I love these Madeleine 5-spokes. I guess they're doing their own wheels now, so they have that kind of cover to make it look like a center lug. All polished metal Porsche badge there on the front. RS air intakes. Stripped rear portion of the cabin and welded in roll cage, and a nice Poruhedo sticker on the back, which is the Porsche specific version of Motorhead magazine that's published here in Japan every 6 months or so. And you guys gotta let me know what you think when you see dumped modern classic Ferraris like this 512 TR. So these two cars right here, these are so very special. I talked about them a little bit yesterday when they were coming in. These two 190 Mercedes with the Raw Welt Republic plates are actually Tommy Kaira M19 complete cars. I think only 8 were ever made, and this pairing actually belongs to the owner of HWA Wheels. And you know what? I promise you we will feature these two cars. So I'm not going to talk about more on these until then. More Porsches, this time a long hood, slightly more classic G-body, ducktail at the back, next to yet another 964 on BBS rims. These are Some BBS Motorsport rims, probably rebarreled to get the fitment just right on TE 37s. This is a serious build, all performance oriented, stop tech brakes, Lexan windows, purposeful cabin, and an engine build to match. Look at this. Inazuma Works always hits hard with his Hachiroku builds. This thing on Advan tri-spokes and shaved engine bay just looks incredible. Just look at the detail. Take a look at this Pandem kitted S13 on Chevron Racing 5 spokes. Look at the barrel on this thing, and even wider at the back. Always good to see an NSX at these events. Loving the endless monoblock calipers. Here's another Liberty Walk kitted FD. This is from Yoshi Racing. It sits on the Raise 21Cs and has an engine bay that is worthy of the looks. That front end is just killer. And just as a reminder, that's kind of what an FD should look like. So you can kind of gauge how much the conversion really does alter the looks of the FD. Wide body RX-8, that wild Fairlady Z from last year has obviously progressed. This was kind of like half built, and they've really pushed the envelope further. This is as custom builds get. So it's actually based on a Z33, but it runs new gen RZ34 tail lights and headlights. I gotta show you guys this S2000 lineup. It's always really nice to see what people in Japan do with their S2000s. Check out this old school Honda Integra. Serious build here. Some more GTRs here, starting with this 33 on LMGT1s, this R32 on SSRs, another midnight purple R33 on some Nismo GT4s, and a sick R32 in black, running 2 sets of wheels. As ever, ACR always brings out the heat when it comes to Aston Martins. So the newest addition to this is a full Alcantara trimmed interior, including the race seats. This thing is absolutely amazing. It sits on Vossen wheels. So I think I'm gonna end the coverage of Wekfest right here. I think it's been amazing checking out all the cars that came out this year, and you know, just seeing how this show really manages to kind of handpick and select the best cars that are out there in Japan, and every time we have something new to look at. Of course, this show is so big that people actually build cars for the event, so it's basically an unveil event for so many builds you know, that have been kind of put together around the country. And you know, I think I kind of handpicked what I thought was the most standout cars, but that said, you know, there's so much here that I want to share as much as possible. So on the other channel, Only Dino, I'm going to be doing a complete walkthrough of the event, so you can kind of see close to 100% of the cars here. So if you want to see more from Wekfest 2024, head over to Only Dino. So hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of some of the builds, and you know, check back soon for more.